I'm Siri Trondara. I was born in Karat, Thailand and moved to the States with my family at age 5. When I was 9 years old, my parents opened up their first of many successful Thai restaurants. Asian cuisine is my comfort food, and I hope to make it yours too. Hello, welcome to Asian Yum Yum. I'm Siri Trondara, and we are here at Achana's East West Kitchen, the country's best Thai restaurant. And it also happens to be my family's restaurant. What do I want to eat? I love me a good fried rice. Why? Because fried rice is like a staple in Asian cuisine. It's like peanut butter and jelly to Asian people. But you know what? I have a better idea. I want to show you guys how to make fried rice. I am going to show you how to make a fried rice that's going to blow your socks off. Let's get going. Now we're going to be making ginger chicken meatballs. This is a great dish to make in the beginning of your night because this is something that you can let simmer while you're making the rest of the dishes. And this is super easy to make. You're going to want to eat it every day. So let's get started. First, you want to start off with some fresh garlic. And you just give it a little whack with your knife. Okay. Now, you want to use fresh garlic compared to powdered garlic because it just gives a nice, fresh, natural flavor. When we're making our meatballs, we want to keep the mixture pretty simple. So we're actually not going to go crazy with the meatball mixture. It's going to be very nice and simple with just a little bit of garlic and salt and pepper. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your garlic and just chop it up into very rustic pieces, big pieces of crunchy garlic. Add a lot of flavor to your meatballs. Alrighty, I'm going to add that to the bowl. Next we're going to just add the ground chicken, and I have a package of 2, and that's about 2 pounds right there. Next we're going to get an egg, just 1 egg, just to bind everything together. Now I'm using organic, cage-free eggs because they just taste better to me. We're gonna add Japanese breadcrumbs. These are different from regular breadcrumbs in that they're a little bit of a cleaner flavor, they're not seasoned, and they act as a nice binding agent to meatballs. So we're just gonna add about 1 cup. And this is panko, which is a Japanese breadcrumb. The reason why it's different than regular breadcrumbs is that they're a little bit milder, they don't have a lot of seasoning, so they're nice just when you wanna add a lot of flavor to the breadcrumbs itself. Panko is readily available now. You can find it in the aisle where they have flour and all your other baked goods, and it's in most major supermarkets. Now we're gonna add just a little bit of salt to taste. Well, not to taste, we're not gonna taste this, but just a little bit. And then a little bit of black pepper, fresh ground, of course. And like I said, we're gonna just keep this simple because wait till you see how much flavor the sauce has. Okay. Now we're just gonna mix this all together and make sure you get all the egg and the breadcrumbs all evenly mixed. Okay. I'm using chicken instead of beef because it's just a little lighter and I like it. Now, just to add a little bit of color to my chicken meatballs, I'm going to add some green onions, otherwise known as scallions, and we're just going to dice them up. Like I said, the more rustic, the crazier, the better. You don't have to be perfect. There we go. Next, we're going to add our cilantro also for just a little more kick to the meatballs. Cilantro is one of these amazing herbs that you could use the entire stem, the whole thing. So we're gonna add this now, mix it all together. Now we're going to form the chicken meatballs. And the secret to doing this just right is getting your hands wet and getting into your food. So I have a little bowl of water, wash my hands first, of course. And then we're just gonna take little, about, I don't know, 1.5 inches apart, and then set it aside. And your hands sometimes get a little sticky, so you can just use your bowl of water there to kind of, there we go, and we're just gonna make a few of these. I made this once at a party and I actually this is one of the best things I ever ate. So I hope you get the same response. Now, of course, you can make these any size you want, but I prefer the smaller the better when it comes to meatballs, because I'll tell you why. First of all, you wanna make sure your chicken is thoroughly cooked throughout. You know, chicken is not one of those meats that you can get away with, you know, underdoing it. So you want to have just little small morsels of goodness here. Now we're gonna get started on cooking the meatballs. I have my pan all hot. We're gonna add a little bit of coconut oil, which is a lovely oil. It's delicious. It adds a little bit of depth to your dishes. It has a little bit of flavor, a little bit of coconut, but not too crazy. What I like about coconut oil is that it's a good fat. It's very good for you, and this is what it looks like at room temperature. I'm using my cast iron skillet, which is awesome for browning meats. Let's get started. Now, you don't want to overcrowd your chicken meatballs, because what happens is that you get a little bit of steaming, and we don't want that because we want a nice browning of the chicken. So we're just going to put a little bit at a time. I cannot wait to eat these. This is one of my favorite dishes. What we're doing here now is we're just browning the chicken. You actually don't have to cook these all the way through, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the chicken, we're gonna set it aside, and we're gonna start making our sauce. So it's going to continue cooking in the sauce. So we started in the pan, and then it continues cooking in the sauce. While it's cooking in the sauce, it soaks up all those amazing, delicious flavors. And you know what you're doing while that's cooking? You could be making something else or having a cocktail with your friends. This is such an easy dish to make, and you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it. Yum, I love meatballs. I can't wait to eat these. This is going to be amazing. Now, meatballs aren't traditional in Asia. However, this is my take on an Asian meatball. And you know what's so great about this dish? You could actually make this 2 hours before. The longer it sits, the longer it marinates, the better tasting it is. Now I'm just flipping them over, getting the meatballs ready to go in the sauce. We're ready to make the sauce now. And I like cooking with wine. Sometimes I even like to put it in my food. So we're just gonna put like about a cup of white wine. We're gonna deglaze the pan. Now when you're deglazing the pan, you could use any white wine, but I like to use Riesling because it's just a little sweet and it just gives it a little bit of nice flavor. Deglazing is when you brown some meats and then you want to just add anything to it. I mean, you could add balsamic, you could add anything that's liquid to deglaze a pan. And so we got our white wine cooking down. Now we're going to add a cup of soy sauce. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to grate a little bit of ginger. For this dish, we want to use about 2 tablespoons of ginger. I absolutely love ginger. It's one of these things that you could make candy out of. You could pickle it. It is a super, super ingredient. Okay, we're going to add it in there like that. Next, just to balance all of that salty, we're going to add a little bit of organic raw honey. I love organic raw honey. It's a little creamy. It's almost the consistency of peanut butter. So good. Now what I'm doing here is almost making a traditional teriyaki sauce. And teriyaki is it's a savory dish that has soy sauce and sugar, and so it's a little bit of sweet and sour in flavor. But this is a little bit more dynamic because we added a little bit of white wine. This is one of these amazing dishes that, again, you don't have to follow the recipe. If you like things sweet, you could just add a little bit more honey. If you like a little bit more salty, you could add a little more soy sauce. It's up to you. Now we're gonna add a sweet chili sauce. May ploy, it's my personal favorite. This is an amazing, amazing ingredient. Don't be alarmed by the color. It is red, but it doesn't mean that it's hot. It's a little sweet, garlicky, chili-ish. It's just delicious. Okay, and we're gonna add a little bit to the pan. That's about half a cup right there. So good. All right. Now we're gonna add the meatballs back into the pan. And like I said, the meatballs we browned earlier, and so they're kind of halfway raw still. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna add them back into this pan, and you're gonna let them simmer and let them absorb all this delicious sauce. Like I said, the longer you let it simmer, the longer it's gonna absorb all these juices. If you want it very juicy, you could taste it, of course, when the chicken is done, and add a little bit more white wine if you like. We're gonna let these simmer now, and we're gonna move on to our next dish, chicken fried rice, everyone's favorite. When I was much younger and had my first heartbreak, my mom gave me some great dating advice. She said, don't worry about him, he didn't eat hot pepper. Well, the moral of the story is, don't date somebody that doesn't acclimate to your culture, or don't date somebody who doesn't eat hot pepper. We're going to be making a classic Asian dish, chicken fried rice. Now, the secret to awesome fried rice is having your rice cold. Now, this is cooked rice, but cooked the day before. This was originally started as a dish to use up leftovers. When you have leftovers in your fridge, throw them in the fried rice. So this rice I actually just cooked yesterday. I just took it out of the fridge and it's cold. Now, the reason why you want cold rice is because it has less moisture in it. When you're using hot rice, it soaks up all of the other stuff and it makes a big, gooey, sloppy, mushy mess. You don't want that. That's no good. So what we're gonna do first is we're going to slice up our onion. Now, my mom used to slice onions with her eyes closed so that her eyes didn't cry. It was kind of funny. I used to love watching her do that. All right, so we have half an onion sliced. Now we're gonna slice our chicken. Now, you wanna cut your chicken against the grain. And the reason why we do that is because it just allows the chicken meat to take in all of those yummy flavors and whatever you're cooking it with. And with fried rice, you could really use any kind of meat you want. You could use beef, you can have beef fried rice, you could have pork fried rice. You could put all of those things together, and it's what we Asians call special fried rice. Yeah, pretty special, using up all of your leftovers. So I'm using coconut oil, and I just love coconut oil. It's a healthy fat, it has a lot of flavor, and it's just good for you. So we're gonna add a little bit to our pan. Once you start cooking with coconut oil, I promise you, you will never go back to regular vegetable oil. This is so good. Now, when I was taking cooking lessons from my mom, she used to tell me, wait for the oil to stop sizzling. And what does that mean? It means that your oil is now hot, right? So the secret to making the best fried rice you could possibly make is a good browning of your egg and a good browning of your meat. So now that our oil has stopped sizzling a bit, we're gonna add the egg. This is so exciting. Now what you want to do is you want to make happy little bits of egg and just kind of scramble it up and break the egg like this. And next we're going to add our chicken. Now remember, don't overcrowd your chicken in the pan, because what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of steaming going on. And we want nice pieces of brown chicken. Okay? We're getting a nice sear to the chicken, and I wanted to cook this in a cast iron pan so you could see that you don't need a wok for fried rice. I put about 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and you know, you could always add a little more if you find your fried rice getting a little too dry, but 2 tablespoons should be good. Okay. Next, you're ready to add your onions. Now, you don't want to cook your onions too much. You know, in Asian cooking, we like our vegetables crisp. So you want to just throw them in there, get them a little soft. No caramelizing, okay? Don't get too fancy. And I'm using yellow onions because they're nice and mild, they're not too crazy. I wouldn't recommend using red onions because they could be a little too strong. Now I'm ready to add my cold white rice. Now, you could use brown rice if you want to be a little healthier. And I occasionally do, and I sometimes add a little basil, and I go a little crazy with it. Fried rice is, again, another one of those recipes. You don't need to follow the recipe to the T. You can be creative with it. Some people add tomatoes even to fried rice, and that's how my mom used to make it for me when I was little, and I used to just love it. You want to keep stirring and make sure the rice is evenly cooked through. All right, now we're ready to add our carrots. And again, you could add more or less, whatever you want. You could add any kind of vegetable you want. You could add broccoli, zucchini, as long as it's a nice firm vegetable. You know, I wouldn't recommend putting eggplant in it. That's a little big gooey mess. So fried rice is fairly simple. It's just basically soy sauce and sugar. And the reason why we're adding sugar is because it helps balance out the soy sauce. What a lot of people don't know is that there are so many different kinds of soy sauce. You have your thick soy sauce, you have your thin soy sauce. For this, I'm going to use a little bit of both. I am going to put a tablespoon of the thick soy sauce. And this is the type of soy sauce that you would find at a table at a Japanese restaurant, at a Chinese restaurant, and what most people sometimes add to their fried rice after it's been served to them. So we're gonna put 1 tablespoon of that, swirl it around. Then we're gonna add another, maybe half of that, maybe 1 teaspoon of thin soy sauce. Thin soy sauce can be found in most Asian supermarkets. If you don't have one near your house, you can buy it online, or you could just use the thick soy sauce, and that's fine too. Next, we're gonna add the peas. And the reason why we're adding the peas at the very end is because you don't want them getting too mushy and broken up during the cooking, right? So then now we're gonna add just about 1 teaspoon of sugar. Don't be alarmed that we're adding sugar to your fried rice. The reason why we're adding sugar to the fried rice is because it helps balance out all of that salt. And you probably have never noticed that sugar is in your fried rice. Another reason why I love fried rice is because it's something you could eat with everything. You could make a simple grilled piece of chicken and have it as a side, and it's great for sharing. Let's see how this is turning out. This is just amazing. So good. So remember, I had my meatballs simmering and I put them over in the back stove, and they are just going to be perfect because now they've been cooking for a while I've been making this fried rice. So now the fried rice is done and we're gonna plate it. And the thing with fried rice is that the simpler the better. I mean, you might find some recipes that call for all sorts of ingredients, but why kill yourself? You know, this is literally soy sauce and sugar with a little splash of love and a dash of caring. And in the restaurant business, we typically sometimes put the chicken all up on top, and that's what we call putting the money on top. Doesn't this look great? This is chicken fried rice. This is like peanut butter and jelly to Asian people, and I just love it. So now my meatballs are done. Yum, yum. Look at these huge chunks of ginger in the sauce and these like nice, delicious chicken meatballs. My friends are going to absolutely go nuts over these meatballs. Ginger chicken meatballs and chicken fried rice. You are sure to have a fan favorite slam dunk. In the Thai language, the word for customer is the same as it is for house guest. And why is that? Because it's one and the same. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about, is that when somebody comes to your house, you are in service to them. They're at your house, they're not at their house. Make them feel at home, your home. So now that we've made our chicken fried rice and our chicken meatballs, it's time to drink some wine. I'm here with my buddy Kevin.
How you doing?
He's one of my best friends. And special friends deserve special wines. So I wanted to feature Fry Wines. It is the United States' first organic winery. It's family owned and operated, and they're good to the environment, they're good to their wines, and it's good for you. We love this wine because it's what we stand for. Trying to use organic ingredients whenever possible, sustainable ingredients that are good to the earth, good for you, and good tasting. Organic wine production is overseen by the USDA's National Organic Program, meaning that the winery must be both grower and processor certified organic. This means that the grapes used in winemaking are certified organic and that the processing of the wine is organic. No sulfites or other synthetic preservatives can be used. Organic wine in the U.S. must be produced with certified organic yeast. However, biodynamic certification does not involve yeast. And at Frey, they choose to never use any sulfites or yeast in any of their wines. So what do we have here? We have a Pinot Noir and we have a Sauvignon Blanc. A lot of people tend to think of Pinot Noir as really only going well with beef. Well, we're here to change all that. This Pinot Noir is lovely. It goes well with fish, chicken. Let's try some.
Don't mind if I do.
Delicious. You taste a little bit of currant, black currant, a little bit of cranberry, some cinnamon. Very nice. Let's try the Sauvignon Blanc now.
Let's try that. That's really good.
You really taste a little bit of the citrus in there, almost a little vanilla. It's outstanding. And the white wine really goes well with a little bit of that ginger we use, the garlic and the soy that we used in the chicken meatballs. It's just a nice balance of flavors. And they almost have a little bit of a dessert quality to the wines, so they're great as a standalone.